Place the hands, palms down on your thighs. Take a moment here to just settle in. Welcome yourself to this time for yoga practice. Bring your awareness, your attention to your breath. And this first attention to breath is not meant to control the breath or change the breath, but really just notice. Perhaps therein lies the most important practice. Take notice. Can you start to pinpoint where the start of the breath is in your body? Where does the breath change or rise to? Notice the descent, the exhale. And then we just slowly start to add pieces of awareness as we add in pieces of the body. So chin first, chin down to the chest. Right ear over to the right shoulder. And then walk the left hand out, fingertips to your side. Notice a little more stretch. Take the free hand on top of the left ear and give it a little more tug out to the side. Notice again, more stretch here. Bring both hands back to the thighs, chin to the chest, left ear over towards the left shoulder. And then walk the right fingertips out. Notice what difference that brings. And then add in a little bit more. Left hand on top of the right ear, little tug out to the side. We're never wanting to put pressure down, we're just lengthening out. And then it all comes back, hands to the thighs, chin down to the chest. Lift the head. Good. Take a twist one direction. And take a twist the second direction. Okay, come back to the center and lift the arms up to the sky. Big full reach, 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 reach. Can you reach a little bit taller? And then lower the arms all the way down by your side. Good, welcome. Hi there, David. We've doubled. Come over to all fours and set your hands under the shoulders and the knees underneath the hips. And here in all fours, we'll just move through cat and cow. Pull the chest forward, eyes and tailbone go up. And then exhale, press down through the hands and knees, round the back and drop the head. Go as slow as you can through this for a couple of rounds. Inhale, cow pose, and then exhale, press down through your hands and knees, round, round, round the back, drop the head for cat. So just nice and slow. And we'll keep this kind of slower pace, more held positions throughout practice today. Sometimes that makes things more intense. Sometimes it makes it a little more easeful. We're using slowing down of the practice so that we can just stay really in tune with each movement, each change of the body today. Take notice. One more cat pose. And then return to a neutral spine and change to downward facing dog. Tuck the toes, lift your knees up, and then we press the hands down and forward and lift your hips high. Pedal the feet back and forth here, so kind of shift the weight from one leg to the next. And even here, this pedaling of the feet, go slow with it, like a whole breath on one side, a whole breath on the other side. No doubt, each and every one of us has a lot happening in our day-to-day. Just trying to slow down the pieces that we can for this practice so that we can be really engaged and intentional throughout this hour. Okay, both heels evenly towards the mat, even if you have a little bend in your knees or even a lot of bend in the knees still. Big full stretch. And then set your knees all the way down to your yoga mat. Have your big toes together. Push your hips back towards your heels and walk your arms out in front of you. Child's pose. Now, I like to have my heels and hips pretty close together. Feels good to me. To others, it feels better to have the hips a little higher in the air with more weight forward in the arms. That's fine. Find the child's pose that feels good to you. Stay there for about 5 more breaths. Just take it breath by breath. Nothing to rush. This is the practice. And then from here, do walk the hands out and over to the right side. So a little walk over to the right side. And try to pull back from left fingertips to the left hip. And then walk the hands across the center, on over to the second side. And reach back from the right hand towards the right hip. All right, back to the middle. And come back to all fours. Okay, take one hand out to the side. Doesn't matter which one, just one hand straight out to the side. Then bend your elbow and take that hand behind your head. I want you to push your head, back of the head, slightly into your hand. In doing that, we firm and engage the abdomen, the front wall of the belly there, nice and strong. Try to keep that abdomen strength, and now can you point your elbow more up towards the sky, so it's a twist. Lift, lift, lift. Good, go back to your neutral position and take the arms straight out in front of you now. Press down through the bottom hand on the thumb and the first finger a lot so you get more weight onto the inner edge of the hand. Stay with me here. Okay, so you've got one arm extended. Take the opposite leg up and back. Opposite arm and leg here. This is when sometimes the slowness becomes the intensity of the posture. Just adding on one piece to the next. Okay, that arm that's lifted and extended, take it back out to your side. And can you take it all the way back? Turn the palm up towards the sky, and then do little pulses with your lifted leg and arm. Up, 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 up. And finally, lower the hand and lower the knee. You can sit back on the heels for a moment just to give that opposite hand a little bit of a rest. You'll notice like really quickly if we're letting all of the weight sit down in the bottom of the wrist, that's not going to feel good for a whole minute that we're lifted. So you've got to really push through your thumb, the first finger, that bottom hand. Other options are to be on your fingertips or even make a fist rather than having the hand flat. Okay, second side, let's do it. So the second arm now out to the side first. And right away, can you contract abdominal muscles a little more up towards the spine? And then bend at the elbow, take the hand behind your head and still square the shoulders and hips. All right, we twist in the torso to try to make the elbow lift more up towards the sky. You might notice that you have a lot or just a little less range of motion on one side versus the other. That's totally normal. Bring it back to your center. Take the arms straight out in front of you now. Is there any adjustment you need to make in that bottom arm? And then the opposite leg lifted up. And the limbs that are on the ground, push down through the knee, press down through the hand, and that'll make all the weight rebound more up. Okay, forward hand, take it around to the back, palm up towards the sky. Squeeze your glute, squeeze the tricep muscle, and then do little pulses. Up, 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 up. And finally, we get to go down, hand down, knee down, sit back, move your wrist around. Good. Okay, downward facing dog. And then from down dog, bend your knees and walk your hands backwards to your feet. Here you get to hang, ragdoll pose. Back end of our yoga mat, let your head really relax. Keep the knees bent enough that you can almost like lay your belly and chest onto the thighs. Hold on to the elbows, maybe add a little bit of movement side to side, back and forth, whatever feels nice here. Oftentimes this yoga practice, at least I think it can feel a little rigid at times. Squeeze this muscle, hold this there. This one, this pose, you're trying to just hang forward and let it go. Full extension in the spine. And then nice and slow, roll up to standing. Move the shoulders up and back a couple of times. And then forward and down a couple of times. Okay, let's walk up to the front of the mat. For just 2 rounds, sun salutations, we'll take our pace a little quicker, but then it all goes slow again. So top of the mat, take your feet hip distance apart, toes straight ahead, heels straight back. Extend the arms down by your side. Inhale, lift the arms up. Exhale, forward fold, bend the knees and touch the ground. Half lift, hands can come to your thighs or the shins and then extend from hips to head. Next breath, step back to a high push-up. It's our plank pose. And then lie flat down onto your mat. Peel the chest up. Cobra pose. And then change to downward facing dog, hips high. Take a couple of breaths like this. Look forward in between your hands and move all the way to the front of the mat. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, stand up, reach the arms to the sky. Bring palms together, center of the chest. Even as we move quicker, still full awareness. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Step back to plank. Lower flat against your yoga mat. Peel the chest up. Cobra. Nicely done. Go back to downward facing dog. Okay, look forward in between the hands and step or jump to the front of the mat. Come up halfway. Fold over the legs. And then stand up, reach the arms to the sky. And bring the hands, palms together, back to the center of the chest. Find a point out in front of you that won't move or change. Something that you can really draw your full attention and awareness into. And then balance on your left leg and bring your right foot into tree pose. So right foot goes against the leg. It can go anywhere along the calf or all the way high up on the thigh. You pick. Push the foot into your leg, leg into the foot. Find some balance here. Take the arms overhead once you have freedom to do so. And can you interlace the hands and flip the palms up now? Push through your thumb and your first finger. If you fall out, just take your time to come back into the pose. Okay, release the arms and release your leg all the way down. Tree pose, second side, so we'll stand on our right leg and place the left foot. Again, toes can start on the floor and stay right there, a little higher on the calf, or higher still, skip the knee up to the thigh. Push the foot onto your leg and the leg back into the foot. Reach the arms up towards the sky. Let's take our arms towards a T shape on this side. And then a little bit forward of the shoulders. Sometimes that little narrower T can really help to find the even balance. Strengthen in the core even as you lower the leg down to the ground to keep balance there. Shake it out. Okay. Still here up at the front of the mat, we'll keep the right foot forward. Place your hands on the hips. And step your left foot back, and then back a little bit more, and then maybe even a little bit more, so you have a slightly longer stride than you thought you wanted to come to. Imagine that your hips can squeeze in towards each other, and as you squeeze the hips in towards each other, feel more height and strength go all the way up the front side of your abdomen. Bend your back knee for a minute, and then straighten, bend it, and straighten. And then I want you to keep the leg as straight as possible. Remember, we're going into detail here, holding the poses a little bit, and bend the front knee a little bit more. And if you're looking down, make sure your front knee is hovering right over the center of your foot. And the thing that holds it there, strengthen the thigh, strengthen the hips, pelvic floor, belly. Yeah? Reach the arms up. Keep pressing through your back leg. Keep sitting into the front thigh. We've got this. And now lower the hands on either side of the front leg. And reach the right arm up to the sky, so add a twist. Lower the right hand to the inside of your foot, so both hands on the inside of your right foot, and spin the back heel flat down against the ground. Look at your back toes and point the toes towards that long edge of your yoga mat. And then look back up at your front foot. Can you still bend the knee and broaden it over the center line of your foot? And you'll know that the more you send your knee over to the right side, over to the pinky toe side of your foot, you should find more stretch on the inner right thigh. Okay, pick up the back heel again and set your knee all the way down onto the mat. Come around to all fours. Do cat and cow. So these are not unusual shapes, if you will, for our yoga practice. It's just visiting them in a really slow manner. Go downward facing dog here. So we can have even more awareness of how we're placing, where we're placing. And then walk back up to the front of the mat and stand up. Okay, so hands again on the hips. I'm going to turn my body. You don't have to do that. Keep the left foot forward and step your right foot back. Again, we're just trying to go for a pretty long stride here. Keep going the length that you can. I'm leaning forward right now, but I want to get straight up and down in the torso. Hips, shoulders, ears, straight up. And bend the back knee. As you bend the back knee, can you drop your your tailbone a little bit more down towards the ground? And keep the tailbone down, but straighten the leg. Bend the knee. Get that little scoop of the tailbone down. Try to lift up on the front rim of the pelvis. Keep the front rim lifted and straighten the leg. It might not make sense today. Sometimes it takes some time. Don't worry about it. Take in what you can. Arms overhead. Lift, lift, lift. Watch your front knee. Keep it over the center of the foot. Try not to grip or white knuckle in the toes there. And then lower the hands down. Spin your back heel to the mat. Oh, nope, I forgot. Sorry, keep the back heel up. Right hand down, left arm to the sky. So you're twisting and lift your left arm up. And just give it a couple of breaths. Notice what you notice. Okay, set the left hand to the inside of your foot. And spin your back heel down. So now again, I want you to take and look at your back foot. Point the toes towards the long edge of your yoga mat. I'm assuming that you're facing the short edge. So your toes point to the long edge of the mat. And then look over your front knee. Bend it a little deeper and keep broadening it towards the pinky toe side of your foot. Even when I change like half an inch, I can feel that on my inner thigh, on the groin. If it's too low to be on the ground, I've got an elbow propped up on my thigh or use some height underneath the hands. Okay, let's lift up the back heel. Rotate knee down to the ground and again around to all fours. And do a little cat and cow. And then from cat and cow, again, downward facing dog. Tuck the toe and lift the hips. I can notice here that I have a little more length now to stretch in this downward facing dog than the first one I did in class. Maybe you find the same-ish differences. Okay, maybe not. We're all different. Who knows? Bend the knees, walk your hands back to your feet, and come all the way up to standing. Good. Okay, I want you to find your long edge of the yoga mat, face it, and take a wide stance. So you don't have to face the camera, right? Just find whatever your long edge is. Okay, good. Point your toes straight ahead, point the heels straight back. So you've got the foot that you had prior, feet parallel to one another, just like that lunge that we were in. Extend the arms out. Just stage by stage. Let's turn the right foot out so it faces towards the short edge of the mat. And then reach as far as you can to it. This is just triangle pose. We know this pose. Form a triangle, bottom arm, bottom leg as they connect. And then take the top arm straight up to the sky. And really you get to look anywhere that you want to here. Look down for most ease and balance. Look to the side to start to open the chest. Look all the way up for a little more challenge. So that bottom arm and front leg should form kind of a triangular shape as they connect. Obviously, your legs themselves form a triangle with your mat. What can you adjust or keep for the next 2 breaths here? And on an inhale, lift as high as you can. Stand up and rotate the feet. Second direction. So I like to turn my back toes a little bit in so that this back thigh starts to face the front leg just a little bit. And that makes this rotation in the hips and keeping open that much easier. So a little bit of a turn in on that back leg can go a long way. And then reach as far as you can towards the second side. And drop the hand down to your leg. Maybe you're using a block or the floor. And top arm up to the sky. Press your feet actively down and away from one another, but try to squeeze your upper inner thighs actively towards each other. That usually keeps us pretty busy for a while. Think long out through the top of your head here. Maybe look towards the sky. And come all the way back up to standing. Turn the feet parallel to one another. Hands down right under the line of your shoulders. So I've walked myself pretty far forward of my mat now. Extend from the hips out to the head. And then we did this at the beginning in all fours. Take your right arm out to the side and then behind your head. Before we change anything else, bend your knees so that you've loaded the weight into your legs. And then try to lift your elbow up towards the sky by twisting your torso. And then bring it back to neutral and lower the right hand down. Again, you can keep the knees bent and most of the weight back in your feet here, not forward in the hands. This is an exercise in the rotation of the spine, not in so much the stretch of the legs, though that's secondary. Okay, left hand out to the side. And then take the hand by your head, behind the head. Try to keep the elbow straight out where it was. And then keep the hips square and turn from the belly. Rotate mid, back, upper back. Get what you get. Stay with the breath. And then bring it back to neutral and both hands down. Now go for as straight of legs as works for you and head closer to the ground. Reach your head all the way down. Hands just stay right under about the line of the shoulders as you fold it in here for support. If one knee is bent, try to bend the second knee the same amount. How's your breath doing? Remember just to take awareness. Okay, both hands to the thighs and help your way back to a standing position. We'll heel toe the feet together. Little shake out in the legs. Let's come back up to the front end of the yoga mat. Our last little round of standing work here. Again, go hands to the hips, keep the right foot forward, and step your left foot back to your lunge. So we're going for that longer stride. As before, nice strong squeeze in the glutes. Try to lift the torso straight up and down. This time, I want you just to take your left hand up and then hinge forward at your waistline so that your belly comes close to or right against the front thigh. Good. So your right elbow should be sticking out to the side here with your hand right at the crease of the hip. Can you slide your right thumb into your right hip crease and pull it back just a little bit? As you pull the right hip crease back, get a little stronger in the abdomen. Keep that and join both hands straight out in front. Slowly take your weight more into the right foot until you can come up. Lift the left leg as high as you can. Squeeze in the glute. Stay, stay, stay with it. Nice deep bend in the right knee. So it's a bent knee warrior 3. And then lower the left leg down and come back up to high lunge. Legs should be tired there. We want them to stay with it for just a little more. Squeeze the inner thighs in, but at the same time, extend through the front knee and the back heel. Lower your hands all the way down to the yoga mat. Step back to downward facing dog. There's only a little bit more here. Lift the left leg up into the air, 3-legged dog. Flex the foot and point the toes down to the floor. Sometimes that'll make the leg have to go a little lower in its height. Can you keep your arms straight and come forward into plank pose? And then float it up and back, 3-legged dog. And lower the left leg down. Nice, slow and controlled. Walk your feet up to your hands. Come all the way back up to standing. Okay, this is supposed to be our harder series. So let's take the second side. It at least knows what's coming for it. And then we get into some heavier work close to the yoga mat. So last side, left foot forward, step your right foot back. Take your time to find that full stride. It's important. Straight up and down in the torso. Get strong in the belly. Keep the hands where they are for a moment. Squeeze the glutes. And then take the right arm straight up. Okay, so that left thumb goes into the crease of the left hip. And you can do this as you fold forward, pull the left hip back just a little bit. It helps us keep a little bit of that space for lots of good engagement in the belly. Still breathe. And then extend the left arm out in front. Okay, use all of this attention to detail and very slowly hop the back foot a little bit in forward until you can change all of your weight into the left leg and try lifting your right leg off the ground. Slow, slow, slow so that you can feel each little bit. And then slowly put the back toes back down and come upright to your lunge. We're not out of it yet. Stay with it. You've got this. All right, hands down, step back, downward facing dog. Push through your thumb, your first finger, so that those wrists and shoulders stay happy and healthy. And then lift your right leg up. Flex your right foot and point your toes down towards the floor. Again, that might make the leg go lower. It's okay. We want to find this little detail of full rotation of the hips, still facing towards the floor. That front pointy end of the anterior hip. Come forward like plank. And then back to three-legged dog. And lower the right leg down. How's this down dog feel? Take it in for just a moment. And then lower your knees and do child's pose. Press your hips back, relax your arms, let it be. You bring so much awareness to the breath that once you find the pace of your breath, you allow it to get a little bit longer, a little bit slower. Maybe you do that by counting the length of the inhale and the length of the exhale. If you start with a count of 3 and 3, you're enhancing that maybe just to 4. Doesn't have to be a big change. 4 and 4. Okay, and then I want you to come all the way up to find a seated position. So as you take a seat, I'm going to give you the option, of course, to sit flat on your yoga mat. If you have a yoga block or a blanket or a towel, I'm going to say to sit up on that. If you don't worry about it. But if you have a little bit of height, sit up on it. And then I want all of us to set soles of the feet on the mat. And hands right to the front of your shins. Round your back like cat pose. Look down towards your belly. So the height can just enhance what's happening here. But if it brings you off balance or you don't have something available, just sit flat on the ground. It's fine. So this is cat pose. And then like you're doing cow, pull your chest forward and through and look up like where the wall and ceiling probably meet each other. And then go back, exaggerate the other way again. And what I want you to notice most of all is how your pelvis might be tilting or changing. Forward and back a couple of times here. Since it's planted on something, sometimes a little easier to see where that rock and tilt to the pelvis is from a seated position. Okay, so then here's the deal. I want you to keep that pelvis tilted as far forward and down as possible, more like the cow position. Extend one leg straight, doesn't matter which leg, and pull the other heel close into you. I think it gets easier the higher up your seat is here, yeah? So now with your extended leg, keep that pelvis tilted down and forward and try to reach and hold on to, maybe even your foot. Can you do that? If you need more balance, hands to the floor. And then notice what this lifted knee is doing. Try to squeeze it in to your outer shoulder so your container is still pretty small and compact. And then come all the way back up. And extend the other leg. Switch sides. Both arms up. So I've got to push through my extended heel. Try to tilt that tailbone back, pelvis down and forward. Hold on to the foot if it's there. Hold on to the floor as needed or wanted. This doesn't need to be the most extreme hamstring stretch, though it is for some. We're trying to create that connection and fold in. Squeeze the lifted knee in towards your outer shoulder. And then come back upright. Okay, extend both legs out. I don't know how much of my household y'all hear or not, but my daughter's just screaming downstairs of delight, pure delight. She's very happy, but it's like, what's going on? Okay, first foot goes back in, whichever is your first side. And we're doing the exact same thing. You lift up and over. This time, instead of trying to hold on to your foot, I want you to get that shoulder as low as you can. Squeeze your knee into the outer shoulder, and then can you take your hand back so that you create this hug around your lifted leg? And then you should have a free hand. Try to take it behind your back to create like the belt or the latch between your hands. And again, the higher up your seat, I think the more access you'll have to this. You can release the hands, the bind, and come back upright. Making sense? Let's try it on the second side. Both hands lift up. First, reach towards that extended leg. And of course, we can stay right here. We don't have to add the extra bind. If your shoulder can go below the knee, then there should be space to get the upper arm bone to the front of the shin, bend the elbow, and take the hand behind your back. And then the other hand goes behind the back to try to form that bind. Release the hands and come all the way upright. Okay, extend both legs out. Give it a little bit of a pat. Good. Let's take ourselves off of whatever height you are using. Don't worry about it now. Go back to where your first side was and set the sole of your foot to your leg like you're in tree pose. I'll face you guys a little bit, like tree pose legs. Yeah? And then we need a little twist in the torso, you should, to get your torso looking out over that extended leg. We're going to do exactly what we already did. Try to reach and hold on to the foot. And if you are thinking right now, hey, that height really worked for me and I want to go back up on it, you can. Different rotation here in the hip. Okay, your same hand as your extended leg, take it behind your head. Same hand as extended leg, take it behind your head. And try to add that rotation that we've already done a couple of times. Elbow out to the side. And it means I'm going to end up leaning on the bottom forearm. And then release, extend both arms out again, and come upright. Yeah, so it's that same like hand behind the head and open. We're just doing it from a forward fold position. Switch legs. Okay, and again, I've got my torso pretty open here, and so the first thing I need to do is twist. Bring the torso so it faces the extended leg. And reach, reach, reach. And our spine has natural curves. We don't try to have a straight spine, so don't worry about it. Let it have a little rounding. Okay, so for me, it's my left leg that's extended, so I'm taking my left hand behind my head, and I'm gonna lean onto the right forearm so that I have the counterbalance there. And then try to take my left elbow more up towards the sky. And it's my torso that's twisting that will make the elbow lift. Okay, we do our best, come out of it, and back upright in the torso. Good stuff. Let's lie down onto our back. As you lie down onto your back, take the soles of your feet flat on the yoga mat. Hands can just drop by your side or over the belly, whatever feels right to you. Okay, so we tried cat and cow from all fours. We're used to seeing that. We tried it sitting on that little bit of height. And I want to try sort of the cat and cow, the change in the pelvis here as well. Can you imagine that you're doing cat back and really tuck and scoop your tailbone like your butt almost comes off of the ground? And then go the opposite way, push your tailbone into the floor, and it should make your chest kind of lift up a little bit and pull the low back away from the mat. And that was a pretty big exaggeration. And I want you to get just to a movement, rocking back and forth in the pelvis that makes sense to you. Maybe find the bony anterior points, the front points, at the top of the pelvis, the iliac crest. Put your fingers on those top bony points and notice how they move as you move. All of this, just taking notice. Kind of found how our hips and pelvis move today. Through the shoulder work, we found range of motion in the upper back, shoulder blades, shoulders as well. Okay, and then you just settle into a neutral position there. Cross your right ankle over the left. Point the right knee out to the side. And take the left leg off of the floor. We're happy with that, or you can fold the arms to hold underneath the left leg. This is slow, just be here. Okay, take both feet back down to your yoga mat. Pause for a moment. Notice what you notice. And then we need the second side. Left ankle over the right knee. Point the left knee out to the side. And take the right leg in. Lower both feet to the yoga mat. Take your hands out like goalposts, like a bend at the elbows. Have the feet as wide as the yoga mat. And then like windshield wipers, drop both knees to one side. Pause for a moment. And very slowly take the knees across the center. It's a very slow little drizzle here. And over to the left side, and then they pause for a moment. Keeping that awareness and intention all the way through to the end of practice, just staying right with it. Start to move the legs back and forth a couple of times, but nice and slow as you do. Sort of a continuous motion now. As you come back through your neutral position, take the knees into your chest, give yourself a good little squeeze. Okay, and then Shavasana, your final position, final pose of relaxation here. Extend your arms and legs out, close the eyes. If you realize in doing that, you'd rather set the hands over chest or belly, or even be in a seated position, just unwind into a place of stillness. If you're at all like me, as soon as my body gets still, my mind gets a little busier. Give all of its busyness to watching your breath. Be really intent on seeing the phases of your inhale and exhale. Okay, and then ever so slowly here, little movement, fingers, toes, pulls the knees in again. And take your time to come to a seated position. Sit however feels best to you. Let your gaze stay low or even keep the eyes closed for just a moment more. Perhaps bring the palms together in a sign of offering of gratitude to yourself. Gratitude for each other. Gratitude for the mindfulness, for the strength, for the intentionality of this movement practice. Namaste. Thank you.